Can you talk about what critical periods are in a way that enables you to explain some of these things, like the maturation of inhibition, and to give some examples of that extra context that you see in vivo that you don't have in vitro?
So, I mean, critical periods, they're not just like special periods of time. And so that window of time, that 48 hours, when the animal is extremely sensitive to its environment, to specific kinds of stimuli in its environment, and is able to form a long-lasting connection or attachment or a learned behavior, that window of time is called a critical period. And there have been, since 1935, literally dozens of these critical periods that have been described. So you mentioned ocular dominance, plasticity. That's probably the one that we've done the most amount of study on mechanistically, but there are others as well, like language learning and motor learning and sensory touch learning. And so in the sort of almost 100 years since we knew about critical periods, neuroscientists have had the intuition that part of the reason that we're so bad at curing diseases, especially neuro and psychiatric diseases, is because by the time we intervene, by the time we get to that time when we can, reverse the blindness or, put in the cochlear implant, that the relevant critical period that supports the learning around that function has already closed. And so we've spent a huge amount of effort trying to discover mechanisms that constrain critical periods to those windows of times and trying to figure out ways to reopen those critical periods with the intuition that if we can reopen them, then we can do a much better job therapeutically.